Here at KCAL News, we are keeping our focus on rebuilding SoCal after the wildfires. I recently got an up-close look at the situation in Pacific Palisades, and the process of cleaning and rebuilding can't happen fast enough for the residents who have lost their homes in the Palisades and Eaton fires. I joined Mayor Karen Bass and Chief Recovery Officer Steven Soboroff on a walk through part of the Palisades, looking for some answers on the pace of progress, including that key first step, debris removal. You know what, it sounds like you have to use contractors who are required or who have the requirements to remove the toxic waste, the hazardous waste, because I was going to say how many contractors are there in the county.
We're not doing that at all.
After so many residents have lost so much, there's a tangible urgency to get on with the process, delaying the initial cleanup and all clear from the EPA. Each home will need one before any work can begin.
Once the toxins have been removed, then the owner has a choice. They can do it at no cost with the Army Corps of Engineers, or they can do it themselves.
Just before a walkabout near the Palisades Recreation Center, Mayor Bass told reporters City Hall has remained in touch with Washington and the White House.
Communicating with President Trump's chief of staff and also with members of Congress.
After touring more of the Palisades ruins, including what was once a Ralph's grocery store, I talked to both leaders about next steps in recovery.
In just a few days, the county will have forms available called the right of entry, which then gives the EPA the right, the Army Corps of Engineers in the second phase of it, the right to remove the debris from your house.
If you don't sign the form, it's going to delay them coming into your home to, we call debris removal. I call it lot clearance.
So if I ask you, well, how long is phase one?
Well, in the first house, it'll be 2 days.
Okay.
In the last house, it may be 90 days from now.
While Soboroff and the mayor have both said residents will be able to rebuild what they've lost, they do envision some significant changes. One that stands out. You said something, Steve. You said no attics.
Yeah, because attics spread fires, and they help spread them very quickly. So I would encourage people when they rebuild their home well, they're going to have to use upgrade code materials and everything else. But when they reimagine the inside of their home, if you have an attic space, I would encourage you. In fact, it's not my choice, but I wouldn't grant a permit to somebody that has an attic.
He said encourage.
That's the other thing. I'm going to ask you about that. You said encourage, because you can't prohibit people.
No.
In terms of getting necessary permits, Soboroff envisions all services will be available on an app.
You're going to have an app on your phone where you will be able to do 99% of those things from your phone in plain English, Apple style, Tesla style, I mean, you know, whatever.
And while most residents are now allowed brief visits to their property, the timeline to begin the rebuild remains elusive. You know, some people were not willing to hear that.
Because people are grieving. People have had unbelievable loss, and they want to go see their lots. So now they can go see their lots with ID, but they can't start rebuilding until it is safe.
Seems like such a huge undertaking, Pat.
It is a tremendous undertaking, but we did hear today in Michelle Geely's report that the EPA was out there today. So they did start the day after they said that they needed this first phase to begin. So we'll see how long it takes, but you heard Soboroff say one house could take a day or 2 days, and
the last house 90 days.
Yeah, it all depends, but I think probably the fact that they were on site today was a positive sign for residents, at least. Give them some light to look forward to.
Sure is.
And if you have a question about rebuilding efforts or a story tip, we'd like to hear from you.
You can scan that QR code you see there on your screen or send us an email at kcalnews.com/tips.